That's another thing. I feel like I'm turning into Bill Bailey. As I get older and we do more radio here, broadcasting, I'm turning into a Bill Bailey subconsciously because I've listened to him when I was a kid. We've talked about it. Remember the morning guy on wacky radio in Louisville in the 60s and 70s, the Duke of Louisville?
I remember the name of the Duke of Louisville, and you've mentioned wacky a whole bunch of times.
And he was often allegedly inebriated, and he was like, this was a top 40 wacky radio, WAKY, right? Kids listen to it, and he's the hottest morning guy in town. He's in his 50s then, or he looked it. And he's sometimes, imbibing, and he was always late. And, but he was a great radio. And he had Reed Yaden was his news guy that was the straight man. And then he just did whatever the fuck I do. Yes, we're going to do this again today, folks. We have not learned our lesson. We're going to do another show. For the North Carolina radio fans, well, you've heard of John Boy and Billy. They went national, right?
No, we didn't really listen to John Boy and Billy up here in the Northeast.
Well, I'm not saying that you listened to them or that they were in your particular market. I'm saying you, as a connoisseur of talk radio and morning radio and radio personalities, would have heard of the John Boy and Billy show that did get syndicated widely.
No, I don't know them. And, I'm of the belief that 95%, if not more, of all radio is bad.
Well, no, okay. Well, I was
without knowing about Billy Bob and Roy or whatever the show is. You fucking.
Well, I was about to talk about some of that radio I was on, motherfucker.
Oh, I'm sure it was great.
It was, yeah. See, now you change your story. No, the Google John Boy and Billy, and some of it's interesting anyway. We might learn some things on the air out of that, and also they're responsible for the funniest radio clip in the history of goddamn radio. But you've heard the Armageddon clip.
Oh, one of them's Earl Weaver? No, what's the Armageddon clip? No.
Earl Weaver? No. Okay, well, first of all then, John Boy and Billy out of Charlotte were morning radio guys, and they syndicated their show in later years to some extent, but when I was doing it, they were in like a fucking trailer in Kannapolis.
And let me stop you. You're talking in the past tense. Apparently they still are.
I was saying this was then, but no, you've heard of their radio show because they continue to fucking do it, is what I was thinking you might have heard of them for. That's what I was saying. Am I getting just testy with you now?
I mean, it's fine. I mean, listen, if this is your hill, the John Boy Hill,
well,
that's fine with me.
But anyway, they were big wrestling fans, and I'd go up there and do the morning radio. They were very popular in the Charlotte market, right? And they had a news guy. It was the same principle as Reed Yaden was here in Louisville. He was a very straight-laced. He was even more straight-laced, whereas Reed was younger. Robert D. Rayford was like an older guy with this stentorian voice, and he was at the mercy of the bits that you can imagine, the Southern Stern show or whatever. They were doing bits, and then, but he would come in, and the news was sacrosanct, and every once in a while they'd jab him, and it was humorous. But the Armageddon clip is the fucking funniest thing in the goddamn history of radio. And I have it here because Stephen P. New sent it to me, and I pinned it on the fucking email. Oh, shit, which I've now apparently signed out of.
Noted comedy expert Stephen P. New.
Well, no, hold on now. Let me get the email back, or we won't be able to do the sponsors anyway. So as I'm getting this email back, I will say that yes, have you Googled John Boy and Billy to find out?
Find out what?
That they are very popular radio individuals.
Is that what I was looking to find out when you said Google them? Just that they were popular?
Well, Google about them and the things they do.
Oh, man. You know what their website is?
I don't know.
TheBigShow.com.
Well, because it's John Boy and Billy's Big Show.
Well, that's not the big show I thought it was. It says
they were calling it that in the fucking 80s also, so they had precedence on that one.
John Isley, born August 15th, 1956, and Billy James, born August 31st, 1957, are an American radio, there was no N, are American radio hosts based in Charlotte, North Carolina. Their comedic morning program, The John Boy and Billy Big Show, broadcast from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time in several southern and Midwestern states via syndication, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, boy, it was a pain in the ass to get to fucking Kannapolis at 6 o'clock in the morning, too, back in the days.
For more than 5 years, John Boy and Billy hosted the morning show at Top 40 WBCY 107.9 in Charlotte. Their comedic talents made them number one with the station's 18 to 34 listeners.
Said the demo!
But John Boy quit in February 1986, while Billy stayed for a month and a half, partnering unsuccessfully with Bob Lacey and Jim Catfish Pruitt.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
Competing.
And by the way, the radio station they left was the one that I later did fill in on the morning that we've talked about before in some spots on WBCY that the Lisa Manning was the DJ. She somehow got fired for they answered a call at the radio station. The morning team did. For somebody that was calling another fucking radio station trying to win a car, but it wasn't even their station. They said, yeah, you won the car. Go on down and get it, to the other fucking radio station, right? And management fired them over it because the people went down there demanding their fucking car. But go ahead.
Oh, yeah, let me stop. I just noticed you sent me an email with Armageddon.
Yes.
That was
yes.
quick. I've never seen you use a computer so successfully.
Well,
so
see, I've got it pinned, as the kids say. And I don't know if we can play that or not.
Well, that may be a copyright issue, but let me finish reading whatever the hell I'm reading
yes,
here.
whatever the hell you're reading there.
Competing station WRFX 99.7 FM.
There you go, the Fox.
Changed to Album Rock the same year and needed a morning show. They signed John Boy and Billy to be the station's wake-up hosts, but they could not start their new show until November due to a non-compete clause. A $250,000 billboard and television campaign in which they had bags over their heads preceded their return. Good idea. On November 8th at 9 a.m.
And by the way, think about it 40 years ago, how much $250,000 in billboards and radio and TV spots would get you in Charlotte.
I know what it's like to drive up and down on 95 and all the billboards you see. Beyond 95, are there billboards everywhere?
Oh, good Lord. You got to drive through North and South Carolina. People got a billboard to show you pictures of their kids. There's a goddamn billboards. Go to south of the border on 95.
Oh, I know south of the border, of course.
No, it's God damn it. Sidebar. Interstate 95, when you're going from...
Yeah, I know south of the border.
From North Carolina to South Carolina, it's the Mexican place.
Well, they pretend they pretend to be a Mexican place, yeah.
Well, I've seen Mexican people there, but it's a tourist trap / attraction. It's been there for years and years with the gift shops and the games and the live bears.
The most popular bumper sticker on the East Coast, I would say. You would see that bumper sticker everywhere.
There you go. But yeah, there's billboards all over the place. But go ahead.
Back to this. I'll finish this out right now. On November 8th at 9 a.m., WRFX announced they're back and played The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy. One difference on the new station, said John Boy, was we'll actually listen to the music. We're rock and roll guys. What was the previous station? Top 40.
Yeah.
All right. So John Boy was arrested at a nightclub October 21st, 1990, and charged with felony possession of marijuana.
That made the news.
But the charge was later reduced to a misdemeanor because it's marijuana. Nah, I'm mad at that. Just give him a break. What the fuck? And then it goes through the rest of the
I think he was
history.
outside of Plum Crazy. That was the bar that Flair always was wanting to buy. It was a bar shaped like a giant purple, painted like a purple and shaped like a giant Plum Crazy. And I think Flair ended up paying for it without actually buying it because I think he spent the equivalent of what the property was worth in money at the establishment.
Well, here's the last thing I'll say. After 38 years, the show will no longer be heard on WRFX as of November 15th, 2024, but it will continue to be syndicated by iHeart's premier networks.
Holy mackerel, off the air on the Fox. I wonder what in the world has precipitated that movement.
Well, you know what the biggest problem is? It's a problem with radio. The problem is radio stations do a bad job, so it's all on the host. The problem is getting the advertising dollars in there now where no young people are listening to radio. It's kind of, it has to be baked in. It has to be something you experienced when you were younger that you still do, but kids today don't listen to the radio. It's a changing. They should just put all this podcasts on the radio. That'd be the smartest thing.
Well, and then they could tie them all together and have something called cable television or whatever. But hold on, Armageddon now. Yeah, click on this. Can we, is this, I don't know what this is on. This is something from YouTube. Is it their official thing? Is this something that was bandied about by other people? Is this copyrighted? This is I would love for you to hear the funniest bit in the history of radio.
Well, yeah, I have whatever you sent me here. I don't know if we'll be able to play it on YouTube, so this may be a YouTube edit, but let's go to whatever this is.
Here's a fax from Cooter in Orlando, who sends me a copy of a story that appeared in the Los Angeles Times. He says, a prestigious newspaper, not the oft-maligned Weekly World News. Quoting the story, in retrospect, lighting the match was my big mistake, but I was only trying to retrieve the gerbil. Eric Tomaszewski told bemused doctors in the severe burns unit of Salt Lake City Hospital. Tomaszewski and his homosexual partner, Andrew Kinky Farnham, had been admitted for emergency treatment after a felching session had gone seriously wrong. I pushed a cardboard tube up his rectum and slipped Raggett, our gerbil, in, he explained. As usual, Kinky shouted out, Armageddon! My cue that he'd had enough. I tried to retrieve Raggett, but he wouldn't come out again, so I peered into the tube and struck a match, thinking the light might attract him. At a hushed press conference, a hospital spokesman described what happened next. The match ignited a pocket of intestinal gas and flame shot out the tube, igniting Mr. Tomaszewski's hair and severely burning his face. It also set fire to the gerbil's fur and whiskers, which in turn ignited a larger pocket of gas further up the intestine, propelling the rodent out like a cannonball. Armageddon! 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 Tomaszewski suffered second-degree burns and a broken nose from the impact of the gerbil, while Farnham suffered first and second-degree burns to his anus and lower intestinal tract. Armageddon! Peered into the tube and struck a match, thinking the light might make the gerbil come out. So that's what felching is all about. Armageddon! Who says that? I didn't. Robert D. Raven on the John Boy Billy Show.
All right, so did Daryl Van Horn get felching from that, or did he write that letter? Or a story.
As I was explaining, but I'm sorry, it makes me cry every time I hear it. This fucking guy on the radio, Robert D. Rayford, sounded like Edward R. Murrow from London, right? Nothing could break. He reported
That's
the
a great
news,
voice.
and he was on John Boy and Billy, who were the goddamn, like the Southern Stern or what they were, the morning fucking lunatics, and the dichotomy, if you will, or the paradox was amusing enough, but they slipped that in to see if they could get, he didn't know it was a rib. He didn't know that was part of his newscast. And then he's starting to read the fucking thing, and they're starting to laugh, and he was trying to do what he always did, and he couldn't. Anyway, radio, it's a wonderful thing, right?
That's right. You can hear it on your favorite streaming service.